These electric cars are driving into this large charging complex in Wuxi, eastern China, not to charge their batteries.
从车辆的电池向电网来进行反向的一个放电。
Wait, what?
Think of it like this. You know these little power banks we use to power our phones? Imagine tens or hundreds of them linked together, helping to power a whole building behind me. Now picture that on a much bigger scale.
This technology is called vehicle-to-grid, or V2G. But Wuxi isn't exactly short on power. So why would the grid need electricity from EV batteries? The answer comes down to the environment. Most of the time, a good share of the electricity charging those EVs in Wuxi comes from green sources like solar. But when demand suddenly spikes, like on hot days when everyone turns on their air conditioning, the city might not have enough green power to meet it. At those times, the grid typically has to rely on extra fossil fuel plants to fill the gap. That's where V2G comes in. Instead of burning more fossil fuels, the grid can borrow electricity from parked EVs that are already charged. Then, when demand drops, the cars recharge using clean energy. This reduces the city's reliance on fossil fuels and helps keep the power supply greener overall. China's 14th five-year plan for green transport emphasizes energy optimization in the transport sector to meet carbon peak and neutrality goals. Wuxi officials have high hopes for V2G as part of that effort.
预计到2030年，我国新能源汽车保有量超1亿辆，理论上可形成约10亿千瓦的电网调节能力。
So what's in it for EV owners? Incentives. Electricity prices shift by the hour. Owners can charge at off-peak rates, then sell back at peak prices. On top of that, subsidies are also in place to encourage early adopters. Starting from 3 p.m., dozens of cars came to discharge.
一次大概能放个30多度电，差不多的话，放一次电能有100多块钱的收益。
See the minus signs on the screen? They show power flowing out of the cars. Discharging stops at 20% battery by default, so drivers can still use their vehicles before the next charge.
30多辆车呢，大概能够放电1200度左右。那这个呢，可以满足我们夏季差不多150户居民一天的用电量。
But like any other new tech, V2G has its fair share of challenges for mass adoption.
第一个就是车主本身他有没有这种闲暇时间，毕竟充放电都需要时间嘛，对吧？第二个呢，那多次的这种充放电对电池的本身会不会造成损伤？
Would owners end up swapping them more often and actually losing money?
According to a survey in China, battery life ranked number 1 among user concerns. The State Grid Wuxi Power Supply Company, one of the first to test V2G in China, has been studying the issue on an ongoing basis.
我们做过这样的一个计算，那3400以内的充放电呢，对电动汽车的电池来说是没有什么影响的。那实际上1000次的那个充放电，整个车可以跑20万公里。那对于家用汽车来说，这个已经接近它的一个使用的一个上限。那这样的话呢，它实际上对它的电池还有2000次的一个使用裕度，并没有得到一个充分的利用。
Even so, how batteries degrade over time and how that affects user experience needs to be studied further. Infrastructure is another hurdle. V2G requires special charging posts, and cars must support the function. For now, only part of China's vast EV market qualifies.
目前呢，大概有18个品牌，40余款那个车型都可以来参与我们 V2G 的一个放电。
Despite the challenges, V2G is considered one of the most promising tools for expanding green energy. Other cities like Shanghai and Shenzhen are already running their pilot programs. With its booming EV market, China has become an ideal testing ground for innovations that could redefine how cities are powered.